Hi everybody, today is June the 22nd, 2021. This is Wes Fryer, and this video is primarily for our faculty and staff at Cassidy School who are getting a new Apple laptop this summer, and this is the second part of a two-part series. I will include below in the description a link to part one, which talks about preparing your Mac laptop and getting everything ready so that, most importantly, you're not going to lose any data files at all, and you'll be able to have a smooth transition to your new computer. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to get your new laptop set up and just kind of the process that I go through, and hopefully some of this will be helpful to you. Also, in these different 9 sections of this video, I'm going to include the date stamps to those so that you'll be able, if you want to just skip to the part that is of most interest to you. So to give you a preview, we're going to talk about customizing your dock, installing apps both from the Cassidy self-service, which is the Jamf app store that we have, also manually that you can just get from the App Store or online. We'll talk third about logging in and syncing your browsers. Chrome, definitely recommend, and also Firefox if you want to. File sync, so syncing your files either with Google Drive for desktop or with iCloud with your Apple ID. Fifth, manually transferring files if you need to do that from a flash drive or other removable storage drive. Number 6, a password manager, so important, so key to use if you're not already using one of those. Number 7, a little bit about Big Sur and some differences that you're going to notice. A little bit about the USB-C adapter, and that's pretty much it. Last thing to remember is you can email helpdesk@cassidy.org for additional assistance. So initially I'm going to be just using my iPhone camera here to shoot the computer screen, but then I'm going to get a screen recorder going and record that way. So here we go. All right, so I have just literally logged in here to the computer for the first time after initially getting things set up. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to open up the QuickTime Player program because I really don't want to have to record this on my phone. And QuickTime has a built-in screen recorder, which you may or may not know, which is kind of handy. I'm going to install Zoom here in a minute, but what I want to do first is actually record my entire screen. So I'm going to click down here, but before I do, I'm going to go to Options, and I'm going to tell it to give me a little bit of a countdown. I'm going to want to record audio, so I'm going to make sure that my microphone is selected there, and leaving it in QuickTime Player is probably fine. So let's go ahead and click this button, and we're going to count down. When I click record, this would be allowing me to record a section of the screen. This is going to be the entire screen. So go ahead and click 5, 2, 1, and now we're going to be recording. All right, awesome. So now we're recording. I'm going to go ahead, I'll go ahead and show you in Safari the outline of where we're going to go. I've made a short little shortcut to go to our slideshow. And I mentioned this at the beginning, but I'll show you where we're going here. So we've already done part 1. We're into New Laptop Without Tears, part 2. And here's where we're going. So let's talk about, first off, configuring the dock. All right, the dock is down here at the bottom of my screen, and one of the things that I'll do first is I'm going to open up System Preferences, and there's really, for me, too many things down here at the bottom of the screen. I like to open up System Preferences, which I can get either from the Apple menu here or it's actually in the dock. This line that separates the icons here, these are applications that have run most recently. These are things that are pinned to your dock. And this is, personal preference, but I'm going to select the dock and menu bar. I personally like to put my dock over here on the left rather than the bottom. I also like to turn on magnification so that the icons magnify. And then I also check this box that automatically hides and shows the dock. So this is just total personal preference, but that's kind of how I like to roll. But then the other thing is I don't like to have all this stuff on my dock. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move over to my dock, and I'm going to start 2-finger tapping these items, and I'm going to choose remove from dock. So 2-finger tap, remove from dock. We actually don't recommend that you use the built-in mail application at all on your computer. We use Google, and so just using Google Mail is the best. Why does Apple do this? Well, they want to let you know about all these different programs that you have, and so they put all these things in the dock, but I really don't like to have that many. So this takes a little while, but again, I am using the trackpad. I'm clicking with 2 fingers to get the contextual menu. If you've got a 2-button mouse, you can right-click, do the same thing, and I'm just removing. Now, I'm not removing any of these from my computer. The dock is just the quick launch area. It's one way to quickly launch programs and applications, and so I just don't want all this stuff on my dock because I don't use these programs. And so generally, it's a good idea to only keep things that you use frequently in your dock. And I'll show you here in just a second how we can go ahead and load up something in the dock that may not be there that we want to use frequently. Again, this is all personal preference, but what I have done now, is almost finished. I've removed, that's interesting. That's not going to let me do that. You should be able to also drag the icon off, and if you drag it far enough and let go, you'll see it say remove. It used to poof, it doesn't poof anymore. But yeah, there we go. Now I'm clearing the dock. So I guess I need to show you how to add something to the dock. So if there's something that you want there, you can click on the Finder, which you'll have either at the top or the left side of your dock, and go to your Applications folder. And your Applications folder has all of the programs which come pre-installed on your computer. And many of these were already there on your dock. Let's say I decide, I really want to have the Books application there. I can go ahead and drag it over, and the dock will make room for it. I want to have it above or to the left of this separator bar. Remember, this separator bar separates the applications that are running live now and those that are just saved to your dock. The Launchpad is another place that you can use for launching apps, and again, kind of like that system settings. I don't think I can, for some reason, 2-finger tap it, but if I click and drag, look at that, I can poof and remove it. But now I've got the Books app that's here on my dock, and so that is great. All right, so that takes care of our dock. Let's talk a little bit about installing applications. So as I was just showing, you have in your Finder a little shortcut to go to Applications, and these are all the applications that come pre-installed on your computer. Now there's another way you can open that. When you're in the Finder, and you know you're in the Finder because you can look in the upper left corner and see it say Finder, you can click on the Go menu, and this is also a shortcut way to get to different parts of your computer, for instance, Applications. Now, the Applications folder is on your hard drive, and if you hold down the Command button, this is a little geeky trick, but if you hold down the Command button, it will show you the hierarchy of where you are. So I'm on my computer, and I'm on the internal hard drive, and I'm in Applications. So just to kind of let you know how things are set up, you have an Applications folder that is at what's called the root of your hard drive, and that's where all of your applications live. Then you also have a user folder, and there'll be several of these, but there'll be an account for you, and that's where your desktop files are, your documents, movies, music, pictures, all of those kinds of things. And so in order to get applications installed, you generally want them to be here inside this Applications folder. And I'm going to cover 2 different ways to install applications. You can, if you have it on your dock, click right on the Cassidy self-service icon, or when you open a Finder window, you'll see the Cassidy self-service as well, and you can double-click that. This is an app that is really Jamf self-service. We use a mobile device management program called Jamf, and so there are a variety of programs, mostly free, however some of these require licenses, which you are free to install, and depending upon your user level, as a teacher, you're going to see the things that the IT department has given us access to as teachers. One of the things that I want is to get a browser and get Chrome. And so I'm going to go ahead and click Install. And this is going to install the Chrome web browser. Now, I may still need to update that. Just depends on how recently it's been updated here inside Jamf. But this is one of the easiest ways to install applications. And you can do other things while that program is installing. I'm going to click over here on printers. And actually, I don't see all the printers that I need. So this may be something I'll have to send a help desk ticket in. But you should see your printer for, let's say, I'm here in the middle division. I should be able to see my printer that I want to install there and be able to click install and have that go onto my computer. So it's finishing up the installation of Chrome. What I would like to do as soon as I get Chrome installed, there it is, and it's done, is I'm going to put that on my dock. So again, this is my applications folder. I can go to the Finder and choose a new Finder window and click on applications. So here's all my applications, and I'm going to be using Google Chrome all the time. So I'm going to put Google Chrome over here in my dock. Now I actually don't use Safari that much, so I'm going to go ahead and quit Safari. I use it on my phone, but I don't use it here on I don't use it on my Mac desktop like I use it on my phone as much. These notifications, you can just go ahead and either allow or don't allow. I'm going to go ahead and say don't allow. I generally don't like a ton of notifications. You can change these settings if you would want to, and those settings are changed in notifications. I'm going to go ahead and just put in the link to our slideshow, so I'll be able to see that here in Chrome. So we're still here on Install Apps. And what I'm going to need to do now, and I'm going to do some installations and pause. Back in part 1, we talked about having an audit of your applications. What are all of the applications that you have on your computer that you're going to want to run? This is number 3, inventory, install apps and printers, and look at that crazy list. These are all different programs, and so I made a screenshot of these and then put a little arrow beside the programs that I want to reinstall. And so if the program that I want to install is not here, I'm going to need to download it from the internet. And let's do that 2 different ways. So here's one called amphetamine. One way that you can install an app, in addition to, first off was self-service, right? We went to the self-service, and if the IT department has an app here for you, you can just click and install. No password required. You just click and install it, and that's it. By the way, I want to hide this, and so my technique that I do a lot is I use the Command H. That will just hide this application. Some people like to click on the little yellow dot or the minus sign to move that down to their dock, but I'll just hide that. So let me show you how to install amphetamine. Amphetamine is a little program that keeps my screen on when I'm doing a presentation. And if I go to my Apple, below System Preferences, there is an app store that I can log into. And this is, of course, going to ask me to sign in order to be able to log in here. And so I'm going to need to do that. So actually, and I can talk about syncing accounts. So I'll start to search for the app. Here it is, amphetamine. And when I click Get Install, it's gonna pop up with this. It's gonna say log in. So to download from the App Store, you have to actually put in your Apple ID and your password, and then you can go ahead and sign in. And I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I can install that program, but I'm not going to record that part of it. So you will have to use your phone or iPad or other device to verify your identity with Apple when you log into a new device. And actually, it might not be a bad thing to show that process. Shoot, let's just go ahead and do that. All right. I guess I'll have to go in here and kind of hide my ID. So I'm going to type in my Apple ID and my Apple ID password. And what Apple does now is it wants to verify me. And so on my phone, I just got a pop-up that says, your Apple ID is being used to sign in to a MacBook Air near Oklahoma City. And so I tap that and click allow. Then it gives me a code which I can put in, and that verifies, yes, indeed, I am Wes Fryer. This is my computer. This is my Apple ID is actually what I'm verifying. And that allows me to download the app, okay? So I am actually signed in to the Apple App Store now with my Apple ID, all right? And I've downloaded the program, Amphetamine, and I can open it. It's going to have a little wizard to go through and explain what it is and what does it do, and I can learn about triggers. Thanks for using it. Wants to have a little donation. And so now I've got this little icon up here when I want to run, and I can run amphetamine to keep my monitor from going to sleep. Okay, so that is installing an app from the App Store. Let's next talk about how to install a program from the internet. So a program that I want to use is called Loom. And Loom is a program, in fact, that I'm going to switch over to here in a second to download or actually to screencast and to screen record myself. And I'm going to go ahead and choose to get Loom for free. And then it's going to ask me to sign in. All right. So signing in and syncing up with accounts is something I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a bit. But I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my school account first because my Loom account uses my school Gmail. Okay? Now isn't this fun? So I have to verify my identity. All right, let's try a different way. That's one of the benefits of having more than one choice. Why didn't that work, I wonder? I'm going to just click tap yes on your phone or tablet. So now I can open up my Gmail app on my phone. This actually works whether you're on a Windows computer or a Macintosh computer. I just have to make sure I'm in the right account. And so now I'm over here and it pops up, says, is this you trying to log in? And I click yes, and then it's going to allow me to log in. So this is the two-step verification. So now that I'm here in Loom, I can go ahead and download the Loom program. And so I need to download the desktop app. And here it is. I click download desktop app, and it's going to download this file, putting it in my downloads folder so that I can install it. All right. So this is the third way of installing an app. You can install one from Cassidy Self-Service. You can go to your Mac App Store and install an app there, free apps, or there are paid apps. Or you can download an app, and then you're going to end up opening it from your downloads folder and usually just clicking through to install it. Now, sometimes it's going to ask you to drag it over. And so in this case, that's what Loom says. I'm going to drag it over and drop it on the applications folder. And I may see a login that's going to have me put a password in, or that may just happen the first time that I run the program. So let's see if Loom is there. Let's click on our applications folder, and look at that. Right in the L's in the launch pad, there is Loom. So I'm going to go ahead and double click it, and it says to install Loom, you need to install Rosetta. And so I'm going to click that, and now look at this. It's going to make me put in my password in order to install that software. And the newer versions of the Mac OS operating system do ask us for our password a little bit more, and that's Apple protecting us from hackers. And this is another case of that. It's going to verify, hey, this was downloaded from the internet. You sure you want to open it? Yes, I am. Let's go ahead and open it. And now it's going to be bouncing here on my dock. Remember, it's in the lower part of my dock, or on the right side if your dock's on the bottom, showing that this is an active application. It's not one that's saved there on the dock. And so now Loom's asking to use the microphone. Okay, it has permission. Loom wants to access system events. Yes, it can do that. And then it's actually also asking to sign in. So I'll click sign in with Google, and I say log in. Yay, I'm now authenticated and I'm signed in to be able to access my Loom account. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is stop this QuickTime Player screen recording and I'm going to switch over to Loom. All right, we've successfully configured our dock and we've logged in we've installed some applications and talked about those 3 ways. Now let's log in and synchronize our browsers. This is most important for the Chrome browser, and here's what you're going to want to do. I am logged into Chrome and I can tell, actually let me do something before I do this. I want to be able to zoom in. If you go to Apple, I don't have this in the outline, in System Preferences, one of the most wonderful things, I'm going to go back to my waffle to choose all of my choices. Love this about the Mac, to be able to zoom in. If you go into Accessibility and you choose the Zoom option, there is a keyboard shortcut that you can enable to toggle zoom. And these special keys are Option Command 8, and then you can either use plus or minus to zoom in or out. Let me show you what this looks like. So now that I've turned this on, Command Option 8 lets me zoom in and check it out. I can also hold that down and zoom in really, really closely. Because what I wanted to do here in the Chrome browser is click down here and show you, look at that, sync is off. I want to turn that on. The reason I want sync turned on is I want to have all of my bookmarks and all of my history and everything that I've done in Google to be accessible to me. Now, from a privacy standpoint, you can go into your privacy settings of Google and tell Google how often you want things to be deleted or whether you don't want things saved. But I definitely want my bookmarks, and I actually enjoy having my web history and things like that so I can go back to things. When you try to log in, it will say, do you want to link your Chrome data? Because I've logged into the Chrome browser and I've started to save some data. The first time, I would go ahead and just click Link Data, and it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to turn on the sync? This doesn't happen, by the way, on a Chromebook, because a Chromebook is automatically going to be synchronized to your stuff. And our students, and when we log into Chrome, you don't have to make as many selections here. But on a desktop computer, like our Mac computer, or if I was on a Windows PC, it would do this. And I will choose Yes, I'm in to turn on sync. And now all of my saved extensions, all of my bookmarks, all of those things come. Check this out. Now I start to get these things popping up because it's going to say, hey, I'm going to install myself here. So I've got LastPass, I've got Tab Suspender, I've got a lot of different things that are going to come up. So I may need to check, use defaults and accept settings. One of my favorite ones that I have is this Tab Suspender, and Tab Suspender is the one that I just did that allows me to, if I've got a lot of tabs open, suspend them so they don't use a lot of memory. I also really like to use uBlock Origin, and I probably should put a link to some of these. I guess, actually, in the description. uBlock Origin is a very lightweight, low memory consumption ad blocker that will block basically all of your ads, especially in YouTube. It's just really helpful. It's got 10 million users. It's not malware. It's a really good program. Another one that I really like is this Extensity. It lets me turn my extensions and even apps, access my apps and turn my extensions on or off when I don't want to be using them. So all of those things are great and very helpful. And the reason I get all those is because I chose to sync. Now it says error here, but I think that's because I've got a pop-up, and Screencastify is going to require me to accept the permissions again to be able to screen record. So what you're looking for here is a menu like this that has your profile, it's got your picture, your name, and then it's going to say sync is on. Ta-da! At that point, I am good to go. And if you are a Firefox user, you can go ahead and log into Firefox, and you'll be able to sync up your bookmarks and all of your Firefox data as well. All right, one more important thing I want to mention in terms of login and syncing browsers, and that is using the Profiles feature of Google Chrome. When you go up here to the corner and you click on your icon and you see your account and you have sync that's turned on, there is a choice here that says add other profiles. And this is really the best way to use like your personal Google account or other accounts, is to add them as a separate profile, and this sandboxes them and keeps them separate. So I'm going to just call this Wes Personal, and I'm going to choose purple. And then I'm going to go ahead and sign in to this Gmail account, which is my personal account. And I'm going to have to, hey, let's see if my security key will actually work this time. Again, and I don't know if I think when I logged this in before I couldn't show this. So this is what this looks like. This is actually on my key ring, and it has two ends. It actually has an end for a lightning connector for my iPhone or an iPad, and it also has got this USB. So I'm going to plug this in, and it pops up, and I'm going to push a button, ta-da, and so now I've verified myself with two-step verification, and I say, yes, I'm in. So, look, there's my recipe ideas. All right, so what I have now is a second profile. I can switch between these. I can now go up to the corner. I'm going to have to also accept any permissions and stuff like that for extensions. But here's all my bookmarks personally. So when I'm ready to switch back over to my Cassidy stuff, I can do that and switch over, and then I can go back to my personal account. Okay, so important and great tip for logging in and setting up your different profiles inside the Chrome browser. All right, let's talk about file synchronization. Now, depending upon sort of how you roll, you may want to install the Google desktop application for Google for what was Google Drive. I think it's now called Google Workspace. And so I'm honestly not going to install that because I don't like to use that. I like to use the browser. But when you go here to Google Drive and you click on the icon that looks like a gear in the upper right corner, you can see there's a link that says Get Drive for Desktop. And so you can select that, and then you can download and install what's called Google Drive for Desktop, and you can download that for Mac. If you want to, that's going to allow you to basically access your Google Drive just like you would another hard drive or external drive that's on your computer. But I'm not going to actually put that on my computer. I can see that I forgot to eject my Loom installer, and so once you've installed something like this, you'll see a little eject button, and then you can eject that virtual drive. What I definitely do want to sync, in addition to logging into Chrome and with my browsers, I want to use the Apple iCloud service. And so I'm going to come up to my system preferences, and then I'm going to come up here to where my Apple ID is and click on Apple ID. And then I'm going to click Start Using iCloud. And I may need to log in again, but I've already logged in with my credential, and it is going to ask me to. And so again, whenever you log in to your Apple ID, you generally will need to have your secondary device, to have your iPhone. You can use an iPad or something else. And then this next prompt is saying unlock your Mac password. This password is whatever you set up the first time you logged onto this new computer. And the reason why you need to do that is because of encryption and the way that security works. You're giving permission for these things to talk to each other. And so now I'm probably going to be receiving a message that is going to ask me to verify. This is really important. When it pops up here to say allow Find My Mac to identify the location, I recommend that you do allow that. And that is going to, if your laptop is stolen or you leave it somewhere else and it's still connected to Wi-Fi, I mean, it'll tell you the last location where it was connected to Wi-Fi. Again, if you get a message like this that's asking for a user password, that's going to be your local user password. And then you get a lot of these kinds of requests where Apple is saying, hey, do you want to share your location? And I really don't want to use the calendar app at all, so I'm going to uncheck that. Now here, again, this is customized for how you want to use it. Remember, our school does not support iCloud. You have to do this on your own. You can actually see I've got a lot of storage because we have a family account that we share among our family. I find it to be extremely helpful to have all of my documents and desktop files just automatically backed up. This is how I do it. I'm going to click on Options, and I'm going to check the box to say Desktop and Document Folders. Okay? Once I check that, then I'm going, and I don't want to use the mail application at all. Once I do that, and I'll just leave the rest of those checked, is fine. Now, my Macintosh computer, this new laptop, is going to have a desktop folder and a documents folder that are backed up and saved to the cloud. That's why I set that up on my other computer. I'm going to uncheck some of these. I don't want to use the Apple Mail application. I don't want to use the Apple Calendar application. I actually don't use Apple Reminders. I do use Notes, and I do use Safari, and I use Keychain. I don't use News. On Find My Mac, I'm going to leave both of these on. So it'll find my network, and it's also going to find my Mac. And so now I have just configured iCloud Drive so that this computer is connected to it, and then all of these Apple services that I'm using are also turned on. And I've turned off the ones that I don't want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and I'm going to, I really don't want, this is something to think about. Do you want your phone to ring on your computer? I'm going to say not now. It can be distracting, during class to have that happen. I'm trying to think of where that is. There's when you click up here on the corner by the time, I can zoom in to show you this. So in the upper right corner here next to the date and time, when I click this icon that looks like two little sliders, that's where you can turn Do Not Disturb on or off. This is really nice during class, especially if you have messages and you don't want text messages and things like that popping up. I really like to turn on Do Not Disturb when I'm teaching. So that's just a quick way to be able to get there. It looks like it also has a shortcut that's right there, which is kind of nice as well. So, all right, let's talk about manual file transfer. Remember these USB flash drives? Well, guess what? This is called a USB-A flash drive, and this will not go natively, just like without an adapter, into the new MacBook laptops. And the reason for that is Apple has switched from USB-A to USB-C, and this is used for charging and file transfer, and so we have to use an adapter. So, ta-da! This is actually, I think I listed this as the third thing. I'll make a comment about it at the end, I guess. But this adapter is going to allow me to plug in to the USB-C port, and then I can take my USB flash drive and I can plug it in. So you're going to have to use an adapter. And let me show you what this is going to look like in the Finder when I plug this in. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up a new Finder window here. It shows me my recent items. I'll just click on Documents, and you can see, hey, look at this. There's a lot of files coming in, and that's because I'm syncing my iCloud drive. All right, so I'm going to plug in this adapter, and I've got my USB A, my old school USB, and look at that. It appeared here on my desktop. This is actually an installer for an older copy of the operating system, but there it is. It's under Locations, and it appears there as a new location. So if I wanted to copy something that was here on this drive, the way I like to do it is I like to make two Finder windows. So I'll open up two windows. I'll have one window on the left and one window on the right. And so let's say I wanted to start copying this somewhere into my document my document folder here. Let's say I wanted to put it into my recordings folder. Okay, there's all these different recordings. All I would do is I would drag this file and drop it over here, and that's going to copy the file. It's the opposite of what I showed in the first video, where you're taking something from one location and you're moving it to put it over there. That is going to be your old school style of moving your files and backing those up. One other thing I'll say about this is if you click on Go and you go to your home, okay, here's the home directory for your user account. If you have backed up your iTunes music, for instance, the first time you run iTunes, it's going to make a folder where you can put your music, and there still are cases where you have to manually transfer files, but hopefully you've got your stuff in the cloud and that's not going to be as much of an issue. But if you need to, you can still transfer files the old way by using a flash drive like that. When you're done, you're going to click the eject button that's just there to the side, and it's going to disappear, and then, and only then, it's safely to remove it from your computer. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about password managers. So there's a number of password managers. LastPass is the one that we've recommended at school the most. It is still free, but as of early part of 2021, they actually stopped giving you unlimited access to both the mobile, like smartphone app, as well as the desktop app. And so what I do is I just use it here on the desktop app and the desktop, and don't pay for that service. But highly recommend that you use a password manager. There are other password managers that you can check out, but LastPass is definitely a sound one. I've responded to this before. People say, but I'm putting all of my eggs in one basket. Each of us needs to be using unique and complex passwords on every single website. That means they need to be long, and unique means you can't repeat them. You can't use the same password in more than one location. And the reason for that is hacks. When you have a breach or a hack of your account, you don't want the bad guys to suddenly have your master password and be able to get into all of your stuff. So you need to have a really good password for LastPass. You need to protect it. And then you need to also use it to have good passwords for all the rest of your web accounts. So highly recommend that. All right, let's talk real briefly about Big Sur. So to figure out what operating system that you're running on your Mac, you can always go to the Apple and choose About This Mac. All of our new computers in June of 2021 are running this newest version, the Mac OS Big Sur. And there are a bunch of differences, of course, that Apple puts into these upgrades. One of the ones that you're going to notice first is how to AirPlay. And so if you go to that same menu that I showed you a little earlier, it's in the upper right corner next to your clock, and it looks like two sliders. This is going to be the fastest way to get to your screen mirroring. In the past, you could immediately click on screen mirroring and choose it. Now it's a two-step process. So you're going to click that, then choose screen mirroring, and you're going to see all the available Apple TVs that are available in the building of our campus where you are. It's going to pop up again and ask you for the password, and all the rest of that's going to be the same, and then you'll be able to AirPlay. But the process is a slight bit different, where you're going to have to click up there, and then you're going to have to go to screen mirroring. That's really the main change that I found as I was using one of these Big Sur laptops for a couple weeks this spring when I was testing it. So give that a try, and it hopefully is not going to be that much of an encumbrance or change for you. All right, the very last thing I've already talked about, the USB-C adapter. In order to plug in your legacy USB-A flash drive like this, or other kinds of USB devices, actually to even charge at this point, to charge your iPhone, which has the older USB adapter. If you wanted to plug it directly into your laptop, you're going to have to use this adapter. Now this adapter also has an HDMI port. So if you're not AirPlaying and wirelessly connecting to your projector, but need to plug in directly, you'll use the HDMI plug, but you have to have this adapter. The other thing to notice at the end of this is that there are some slots for some USB flash cards, so like cameras and things will use those. And that may not be very many people that have those, but anyway, it's built in. One thing this does not have is a Ethernet port. And so if you are a person that likes to be wired in directly to the internet, not connecting wirelessly, there's another adapter that the IT department can give you, and they will give you if you ask for it, that will let you plug in directly to Ethernet. All right. So I hope that this information has been helpful to you. The last and very important final thing to say is that you can always send an email to helpdesk@cassidy.org and get an answer to your question. Please report issues if you have some trouble with the internet, if there's a website that doesn't load, if YouTube is slow, whatever it is, please let the IT department know. They cannot fix problems that they don't know about. And there's a lot of things that happen that they may not get a report about from one of the dashboards or systems that they monitor. And so it's really, really important that we go ahead and report those issues. So again, I would encourage you to check out, if you haven't already, the first part of this video. I'll be including both of those and all of these support videos and things. You can find a lot of these on our support website, which you can find at support.cassidy.org. We're going to continue this year to have the Genius Bar, and we're going to be having different sessions about all kinds of Google topics and Seesaw topics and things like that, keeping up our Google certification groups. You can check out all of those resources underneath the Genius Bar. And with that, this long video comes to an end. So let me know if I can be of assistance to you. Use that helpdesk@cassidy.org email and let our IT department and our support folks know how we can help you. Have a great day.